Okay, good. Okay, Serena, you good too? That's okay, best you can get. Okay, good afternoon, and welcome to council on Tuesday, April the 14th. I'll call the meeting to order at 12 p.m. noon. We would ask everybody to shut off their devices. We don't have nobody here, so it's nobody to shut off their devices. We do have 3 of our council members on the telephone, and in person we have our CAO Daryl Skorczynski, our Deputy Clerk Louise Lees, and our Economic Development Manager Serena Goodchild with us in the council chamber, spread out, social distancing of 2 meters, and welcome to everybody. So, with that being said, any additions or deletions to the agenda today? And you got to bear with us. We have people on the phone, and I'm going to just give it a couple seconds each time we ask a question or a comment, just for somebody else to respond. It's a little bit different that way. So, hearing none, I do have a motion that council hereby accepts the agenda for Tuesday, April the 14th, 2020, regular meeting of council as circulated or amended. Moved by?
Moved by Ray.
Okay, Councillor Lake. Second?
Kelly will second.
Okay, Councillor Debuchy. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, I call a question. All in favor?
Moved. I thought the protocol you were supposed to ask for a roll call.
Right, so okay, Councillor Debuchy.
Yes.
Councillor Lake?
Yes.
Councillor Valance?
Yep.
Okay, good, carried, thank you. Okay, any disclosure of interest from council? Hearing none, I do have a motion here that council hereby adopts the minutes of the regular meeting of council that were held on Monday, March 9th, 2020. Special meeting of council were held on Monday, March 9th, 2020, and Monday, March 23rd, 2020, as well as March 30th, and Thursday, April 2nd, and Monday, April 6th. And the closed meeting of council was held on Monday, March 30th, 2020, as circulated and amended. Moved by?
Moved by Ray.
Councillor Lake, second by?
Greg.
Councillor Valance? Okay, Councillor Valance? In favor? Yep. Councillor Debuchy?
Yes.
Councillor Lake?
Yes.
Okay, motion's carried. Thank you. Okay, we have no delegations, no council report, no student council reports. We'll go right into our CAO report, verbal update on the COVID-19 situation. Mr. Skorczynski.
Thanks, Your Worship, and I'll slow down a little bit knowing we're utilizing technology to have our first council meeting via Facebook Live. So the Emergency Control Group met this morning as part of our regular meetings every second day to look at where Marathon stands with respect to the COVID-19 situation. So I put a briefing together and I've sent it to council this morning, but really wanted just to touch on a couple of points that have transpired over the last couple of days. Then we'll certainly be more than happy to answer any questions that council may have. So at the current time, there are 0 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Marathon and our surrounding communities. And that was as of this morning through a check with the Thunder Bay District Health Unit. Today, Ontario is expected to extend the provincial emergency order for another 28 days with the recall of the legislature. So we'll meet as an emergency control group on Thursday to look at what that means for Ontario, and then via extension what that means for Marathon and how we move forward under our emergency order that was originally declared back on March 23rd. Our bylaw officer was actively enforcing our physical distancing bylaw over the weekend with 100% compliance. That was obviously passed by council last week. A number of local businesses have implemented some of our recommendations to reduce exposures and increase distancing. And these involve items such as installing plexiglass if they haven't already done so, putting markers on the floor so shoppers can easily see the 2-meter distance rule, as well as looking at ways to implement traffic flow in stores so there's less opportunity for contact. Yesterday, April the 13th, Marathon, Beektagong, Pic-Mobert First Nation, and the North Superior Healthcare Group had our first joint call to share what each community organization was doing in their respective communities, as well as have an open forum for questions and answers, as well as the sharing of information amongst each other to dispel any non-factual public rumors that might be surfacing via things like Facebook and social media. The mayor and I both indicated that if something doesn't come from the mayor or the CAO, then it's not a factual Town of Marathon response, and that it is something that's generated in the public, not from the municipality. It was agreed yesterday amongst the 4 parties that we'll continue with these calls on a weekly basis on Mondays at 2 p.m. as we transpire through this pandemic situation for however long it takes for us to move forward amongst that. And really the genesis of the setting up of the calls was we want to ensure that we support each other as communities and First Nations, as well as our major healthcare provider as we move forward through this pandemic situation. So that's but a brief update with respect to the COVID-19 situation and what's transpired over the last number of days, mainly the weekend, and I'm happy to take any questions that council might have.
So with that being said, does any member of council have any questions of the CAO?
Sure, I have one.
So Councillor Lake?
Just thinking about those neighboring communities, Mr. Gorczynski, I know both of those communities have put up, I don't know if roadblocks is the right term, but they're checking people going in and out of the community. Did they discuss kind of their rationale for why they did that? And has that moved our thinking at all, or our administration, our health providers thinking around doing the same for Marathon?
So I'll answer that question in 2 parts. I would say that the best way to state their gate control, their checkpoints, and really, 2 reasons. One in Pic-Mobert First Nation, they indicated they have a high density of people living in the same homes because of the limited number of housing on the First Nation. So they're very concerned about the potential of community spread. So they want to ensure that they limit access to and from the community. With respect to Beektagong, they obviously, have the potential for community spread and have, high disposition to other health issues, such as diabetes. So that they too want to limit that exposure from people coming and going in both communities. And they both indicated that what they're doing is working very well, and they have limited the number of trips in and out of each community. With respect to Marathon, obviously a much different situation. Being a community of over 3,000 people, it's much more challenging to regulate a checkpoint on Peninsula Road. We've certainly seen and heard from the public that there's, a lot of concern of those entering and leaving Marathon. Legally at this time, we don't have the ability to, ask where people are coming from and where they're going. What we obviously have done is taken, every precaution possible, from things like social distancing and a number of people in establishments. Administration continues to look at the checkpoint option. At this time, it's not something we're recommending to council, but it is something that we will be prepared to implement if that is the direction of council at some point in the future. But with that stated, I do have to state to council that it would be a massive undertaking for administration and something that's never been done in Marathon before. So we're really taking, our time and making sure that we looked at all aspects of implementing any type of restriction on Peninsula Road.
Any other questions?
Could I follow up on that?
Sure, Councillor Lake, yes.
Thank you. I guess a really thoughtful response from the CAO, and I just certainly from my perspective, lots of this needs to be led obviously by best practices around health, and I appreciate that the conversations are going on between communities, but also between the municipality and the healthcare systems. So for me, I'm not an epidemiologist, I'm not a virologist, so the guidance I think needs to come from sort of those health control groups, when they say, this is what needs to happen, that's kind of the expert knowledge that I'm looking for to make that kind of informed decision. But it's certainly a conversation I've heard lots out in the community.
Yes, with that, Councillor Lake, appreciated. With the meeting we had with NOSH, we've also, through the Emergency Management Control Group, have had discussions with both NOSH and the Family Health Team and Dr. Newberry. And of course, if coming from their recommendations that we look at this more seriously, we will definitely will. As you know, Mr. Skorczynski indicated that the planning process is in place. He'll be working with various proponents for opportunities to get more understanding what this might look like if we do put a checkpoint on Peninsula Road, and we'll bring that back and share that with council when there's more information that's gathered in that regard.
Thanks, Your Worship.
Okay, thanks. Anybody else?
So, sorry.
Yeah, Councillor Debussy. I'm just
Kelly,
gonna, yeah, Councillor Debussy, okay.
Can we also then, through one of our communications, make sure that people realize that isn't on our radar? Because as other councillors have indicated, it is starting to permeate through the municipality that we're seriously looking at this. And I think the one thing that we need to make sure is that the messaging comes from council and or the CAO and or the family health unit. So I think it's one thing that we said that, yes, we're looking at it, or we had explored the possibility in the event that we may have to implement, but it's not something on our radar right now.
So certainly with that being said, Councillor Debussy, I did do a public message on Facebook. I've done some sit-downs with CFNO in regards to that. I can re-emphasize that with another Facebook post, but the message has been put out there that we are looking at it, and we will look at implementation if need be, working with the various health agencies as well as the Thunder Bay District Health Unit. So we will go forward if need be, but that message has been relayed, but we can reiterate the message for sure.
I'm sorry if I can follow up on that.
Sure, absolutely.
I did view that messaging, and it was kind of, I won't say ambiguous, but it wasn't spelled out, I guess, as clearly as I would hope it had, that it was just I'll say an exercise that we were looking at in the eventuality that it was going to happen. It kind of came across as if we were exploring about doing it like in the immediate future. And that's the one I want to make sure we kind of stress that it's, if the worst case scenario happened and we had to do it, the plan is in place or it has been explored.
Certainly, we can reiterate that message through another posting. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, thank you. So with that being said, we have a verbal update on discussions around a 2020 budget. Mr. Skorczynski.
So thanks, Your Worship. So wanted to have a discussion with council today with respect to the 2020 budget, where we're at this current time and where we need to get to in the next couple of months. So the last town budget meeting was held March the 9th. At this meeting, council approved certain operational and capital spending for 2020, but not the official 2020 budget, as there are still outstanding items to be deliberated. The original 2020 budget plan had council passing the 2020 budget on April the 25th. Under the current pandemic circumstances, that is not plausible. Administration is recommending that the 2020 budget be passed on May the 25th, with the month of May being utilized for additional budget research, analysis, and further deliberations with council.
Any questions of council on that? So as you know, we left our last meeting when we were before the COVID and emergency declaration was set. We basically set our budget. There was one item that was outstanding, obviously, which was the purchase of a fire truck. We do have a fire chief here, and administration is working closely with that. So with that being said, other than changes coming forward from now, the COVID-19 situation at hand, we will definitely have updates in that. So if there's no questions, we'll move on. Sorry?
Can I get one question?
Yeah,
please?
Councillor Lake, yeah.
And this is, my memory might be faulty, but I'm just trying to think about that long-term budgeting, especially around the new rec complex. I feel like, weren't we supposed to hear in March about the funding application? And if it was March, have they given any sort of hint as to when that announcement might be made?
No, we haven't had any further information with respect to that item, and you know, the mayor and I actually coincidentally just talked about this particular item this morning. You know, and you know, obviously there's, you know, broader issues at the federal and provincial levels. You know, but I do think, you know, in line with our budget process, it'd be fair to ask our MPP and MP, you know, towards the end of April where that process, you know, stands. We actually haven't heard anything with respect to our application other than it's been accepted through the original screening process. So certainly administration has this top of mind, and it is on our radar to follow it up as we move forward with the municipal budget, working towards approval in May.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? So we will go through that process over the next month and a half, and we'll have updates in regards to that as well. Okay, up next, I have a motion in regards to the check run, and that the following check runs be approved for payment. I need a mover and a seconder for that, please.
I'll move.
Councillor Valance, second.
Second.
Councillor Lake. That the checks and accounts payable in the amount of $743,003.71 and payroll in the amount of $149,293.61 be approved for payment. Councillor Debuchy.
Yes.
Councillor Lake.
Yes.
Councillor Valance.
Yep.
In favor. Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none. All in favor? Good. Thank you. Up next, we have reports from members of boards and committees. Councillor Valance is going to give us a verbal update in regards to the Marathon Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, so just a quick update. The Marathon and District Chamber of Commerce trade show will be rescheduled for next year. They're shooting for May 2021, and the 6th Annual Business Awards have been rescheduled. There's no date set just yet, but nominations will continue to be collected and can be submitted online through their Facebook page. And that's about it.
So I have a question of you, Councillor Valance. In regards to the business awards and the nominations and voting, they go through the Chamber's site?
Yeah, so they'll go to the Marathon District Chamber of Commerce Facebook page. The link will be posted right at the top of the page, and they just follow the link. It's a quick Google form. It's very simple, very easy. They can nominate in, I want to say it's 9 or 10 different categories, and all nominations that were submitted in the past will still be used when the event does happen.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Any questions of Councillor Valance? Okay, hearing none. I got Councillor Lake going to provide a verbal update in regards to the Thunder Bay District Social Service Administration Board.
Thanks, Your Worship. So I guess first, our meeting is actually on Thursday this week, and we're going to be trying it through Microsoft Teams. So trying to also, like this, going into virtual meetings. The two pieces of kind of pertinent advice or information was the Community Homeless Prevention Initiative funding results came out last week or the week before, and 2 marathon organizations were successful in getting funding, the Marjorie House and the Community Collective. So that was good. It was in response to some funding cuts, but through the DSAB, we found ways to help buoy those 2 organizations, and that seemed like a real positive.
Good. Thank you for that, Councillor Lake. Any questions of Councillor Lake? That's good to see. I think, in specifically for the Marjorie House and our food bank, they were both in a situation where they're going to see increased volumes of use, I'm sure, over the next little while. And that they're going to need those funding models to assist that. With that being said, I know Barrick has been very generous within the community as well, both their food bank and the victim services and the Marjorie House. They've donated substantial amounts of money to get us through this COVID-19 situation. So with that, you know, DSAB funding and the Barrick additional funding for those agencies, it really will boast well. So thank you to Barrick Hemlo for that as well in regards to their donation. Okay, no bylaws, unfinished business, nothing, and nothing else in regards to council's business. There's some historical data that we have in regards to payments for each year, and that's it for information. Anybody have anything else in regards to today's meeting? So thank you very much at home and Facebook Live that this is our first time doing this this type of meeting. and hopefully we can get over this pandemic and COVID-19. As our CAO mentioned, Mr. Krasinski, that the province has identified at least 28 more days under the emergency declaration from the province. So we'll probably be mandated to follow that emergency declaration. So we will probably be meeting like this again over the next little while. So bear with us, and hopefully that we don't have many technical difficulties out there at home. If you have any questions, by all means, contact the municipality, 229-1340, and hit 0. You can leave a message if nobody answers the phone, and somebody will return your call in regards to your inquiry. Thank you very much, and be safe out there. So I need a mover and a seconder to adjourn the meeting at 12:20 p.m.
I'll move.
Really, we'll move.
Councillor Lake, Councillor Valance, thank you. All in favor? You don't need to do a roll call, it's all good. Thank you very much. Have a good day, gentlemen. Thank you here.
Stay safe, guys.
Thanks, bye.
Bye.
Bye.